What's going on, everybody? It's your this is the episode 11 of Work Hard, Play Harder podcast, Conversations with CD. We got a special guest today, my girl, Megan Ryan, Minnesota Twins beat reporter for the Star Tribune, graduate of University of Minnesota, native of Minnesota, also worked for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, also worked for the Dallas Morning News as a sports reporter. We're going to talk about her experiences, her challenges through the industry, how she's dealt with that. We're going to have some this or that. We're going to have some Minnesota trivia. We're going to have some favorite things. We're going to talk to her also about her singing that she did while she attended the University of Minnesota. I'm looking forward to it. So without any further ado, I bring her on. Here she comes. Megan, what's up? How we doing? Uh-oh. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm on mute. That's why. I forget that I put myself on automatic mute because when I do press conferences for like work,
Right.
we always have to join muted, so I forget about that. Anyways,
well,
hi.
Good. How you doing? You looking good? How you doing?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I'm kind of just woke up. I'm fine. Just tired. Baseball season is a lot, but getting through it.
Yeah, who you telling? 162 games. And we definitely gonna get into some Twins talk a little later on in this, that's for sure.
Sure.
But I want to welcome you to the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on, hopping on with me.
No problem.
Without any further ado, I'm gonna get into it. I want you to kind of talk about your childhood and talk about where your love of sports came from, and also the decision for you to move into that career of sports journalism.
Okay. Oh, so you want me to start right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. I didn't know if you were going to do some like intro or something.
No.
Okay. My childhood. Well, I mean, I wasn't really honestly a super huge sports fan. I mean, like I was a casual fan, probably like most people are when they're younger. Like I watched, what my parents watched. So we watched a lot of Twins baseball. I think the first sport that I remember really liking was college hockey because we moved to a small town in Minnesota, Mankato, and their only real attraction there was their D1 college hockey team, the Mavericks. So I remember going to a lot of those games, and it was like kind of the big Friday, Saturday night activity when I was in like middle school to go to those games, and they were really fun. So that was probably the first, real team that I was a fan of. But honestly, and singing and things like that, I didn't really like sports, or I didn't really play them all that much either. I was more into the arts, and it wasn't until probably my senior year was the World Cup, 2010 World Cup. Okay. And I got really into that for soccer. I don't know why. And I just kind of remembered like how fun it is to kind of have a passion about sports, and how cool it is when you see like, teams from all across the world competing, and you get to know like the different kind of histories and stories and whatnot. So that's kind of what got me back into sports, I would say. And then when I went to college, I mean, I knew that I liked writing. I knew I was good at writing. And I just figured I would go into journalism because it seemed like the most practical thing you could do with that skill, even though it's not really super practical at the end of the day. But yeah, I did journalism, and I think I just chose sports because I wanted to have the flexibility to be creative in my writing.
Right.
And I felt like sports was one of those places that had the most like leeway for that. And I liked that there was, a lot of things that you could do with it. I mean, you can write just about sports, but I also felt like there was so much more to write about within the sports realm that not enough people were taking advantage of. Right. So the thought of getting to do, stories about race and culture and like gender issues and class issues and all these things, or just like, fun, like profile pieces or interesting things or stories about like sneakers, like, I don't know, all of that was a possibility with sports. So that's kind of why I chose it. And then I just stuck with it, and here I am.
And yeah, and we've talked before, and you mentioned that before, definitely about just kind of focusing on not just covering like the games aspect. You wanted to kind of broad out and be able to cover different issues within the realm of sports. And that's pretty cool for anybody that wants to do that. They don't have to be pigeonholed to just doing game coverage and stuff like that. And really, it's not when you join a publication or anything, really that's not all of what you do. That's probably about maybe what, 20, 25% of what you do as far as covering games. I mean, the other percentage would be.
Well, I mean, in baseball, it's a lot of what you do just for the fact that they play 162. In other sports,
true.
you could make the argument that it's less, but in baseball, it's at least probably 50 to 75% of what you do. That's
I can imagine. I can imagine. I just spoke to a good I can actually say now a good friend of mine, Betsy Helfin, who is a twin beat reporter as well for the St. Pioneer Press. She said the same thing. She said it's about 50 to 75%. And I was like, really? Is it that much? She's like, yeah, it's really that much. And there's only one of us over there. So she was like, yeah, I totally understand. I spoke to her as well, so I totally get that. You went to the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. Graduated from there, if I'm not mistaken, magna cum laude.
Yep.
Which is pretty good, pretty impressive. What made you want to choose that university, and were there any other schools that might have swayed you?
It's funny you're asking all these like stories about my origin in sports journalism, because I'm incredibly atypical to what a lot of people did. I didn't like when I was in high school, I knew I was good at writing, but I never like thought about journalism. It truly was kind of like an off the cuff decision my freshman year when I was like, I need to pick a major. Right. So I wasn't, and a lot of times sports journalists are like the same way, or people with their colleges are the same way, where it's like, they know the path that they wanted to take and they know their dream schools. I didn't really want to go to college. I had kind of grand plans of wanting to study acting. And then for sort of reasons we don't need to get into, that didn't really work out. And so then I had a pipe dream of moving to LA and doing an acting career. And my parents said no, which I guess was their prerogative. Right. It was a little dicey to send a 17-year-old girl to LA on her own, but that's what I really wanted to do.
Just a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
And so, yeah, I mean, the University of Minnesota was the in-state public school. And honestly, you didn't have to write an essay to apply, which is hilarious because now I write all the time. But yeah. I applied to it. That was the one school that I ended up applying to. And it kind of was like to get my parents off my back thing. And then jokes on me because that's where I went. So, I mean, yeah. Are there things like if I really cared about sports journalism at the time, there's a lot of schools you could have gone to. Like, Missouri has a really good journalism program. Syracuse, Arizona State, yeah, and Northwestern. All of those have really good journalism programs, but I didn't really want to do that. I was a good student too. Like I probably could have gotten in other places, but I just didn't. So stay in school, kids. I don't know. That was really not a good about going to college.
You just graduated magna cum laude. You definitely was a good student, without question. But that's cool. That's cool. I understand that. Because for me, I told you before, I wanted to do math at first, and then I kind of converted over to the journalism thing. So I love sports, but I love math too. So yeah, I can totally understand that get your pants off your back kind of thing. Because I know Mama was on my ear talking about college, and I'm like, I don't know where the hell I'm going. I'm sorry, I don't know. But eventually I made the decision to go, and here we are. So you go to the University of Minnesota, and you are involved with the University Singers your freshman year. And then the vocal you for the next 2 years.
Did you stalk my LinkedIn from like a million years ago? Is this what's happening? Oh my God. I forgot I was on those things, but I probably did put it on my LinkedIn when I was like 20.
Yeah, I researched it a little bit, Meg. I researched it a little bit. I did. But I wanted to ask you, what type of singer were you? And do you do it often now?
I mean, what type of singer was I? I just like to sing. I mean, I did choir and stuff all through school. I did all of our musical theater things in high school. When I went to college, I was a theater major for one day. And then I switch to journalism. It was kind of a very random thing. But I did, like, I tried out for their choir. University Singers was like their top choir at the U. And so I tried out as a freshman and I got in, which like was only like, not to brag, but there's only like 3 freshmen that got let in. And so, but it was tough because I only did it for 1 semester, because after that, all my journalism, it was always at noon on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And that's also when like every like fundamental journalism class was. So I never got back into it because I just had to take my major classes instead. The Vocal U was like an a cappella group thing.
Yeah.
It didn't really take off. It was kind of like somebody just started it and I did it for like another semester and then that was kind of it. But most of my singing now is like, I do it in the car, in the shower, at my house. I sing all the time, just nowhere organized, because that is the tough thing about this career is you just don't have a lot of free time because your time is really not your own. Like you're going off of these sports schedules. And like, if I wanted to join like a community choir, let's say, you have to commit to like practicing every Tuesday night and then concerts on Friday and Saturday. And like, I can't commit to that. And it's the same thing with like, community theater productions. Like you have to be able to practice every night a week for like at least a month and then do like 3 weekends of performances. And I can't do that unless it's like from mid-October, if they don't make the playoffs, until like early February. If there's a play in that time, I might be able to do it. But so I've picked up, every now and then I've done like voice lessons again. When I was in Pittsburgh working, I picked up voice lessons just to keep me kind of doing it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I might do that again at some point in time, since you can kind of work that around your schedule. I've done other kind of one-off classes and stuff, but for the most part, I just do it. I sing to Olivia Rodrigo by myself.
Yeah, she just dropped the album recently. I ain't heard it yet, but she just dropped one. It's funny because I like to sing too. I was in honor choir, elementary and high school. I love just different songs and things. Yes, I sing in my car, in my shower too, everybody. I do like to do karaoke every now and then, which sets the next question. What are your top 3 karaoke songs?
My showstopper is You and I by Lady Gaga.
Wow.
Which it's like one of her like underrated singles from like several years ago. But that's a good showstopper one. I like that one. I've been known to do Our Song by Taylor Swift when I feel like country is appropriate.
Wow.
What's another one that I do? I don't know if I have top 3. Literally, it's very chaotic because I go with my friends and then we just like pick random things. And so sometimes it's Taylor Swift, sometimes it's Michelle Branch, sometimes it's like, I'll Be by Edmund McCain. Like it can be a lot of different silly things. But if I'm really trying to show off, then I'll probably break out the Gaga.
I like it. I would say mine is probably I do like the Florida Georgia line. If it's B, I like that.
That's a good one.
If I'm doing a duet, definitely I would say the I'm Your Angel by R. Kelly and Celine Dion.
Wow.
Yeah, I like that one. And then if I'm just really feeling crazy and I want to do something kind of different, Elton John, Rocket Man.
Nice.
Right.
I will say when we do duets, me and one of my best friends, we always do Breaking Free from High School Musical, and he sings Troy and I sing Gabriella. That's another showstopper when you break out the High School Musical.
You ain't lying about that. That's one of my favorite musicals. I told you I was a theater guy as well. I did Les Miserables in high school, and also High School Musical in high school as well. So you ain't got to sweet talk me. I'm definitely on that. So if I ever get the chance, I would love to hear you sing some karaoke. That's for sure. We got to do something. That'd be great.
Yeah. There's odds are good of that, Chris, because I sing karaoke pretty often. Now that the pandemic is over, it's like every night out for me is just going to be karaoke.
That warms my heart, Megan. That really does. I'm looking forward to that. Favorite thing. We're just gonna ask you, and you give me some of your favorite things. Okay. Favorite food.
Um, Pasta, any kind of tomato-based pasta.
Okay.
Or alternatively, rice. Anything with rice. Rice or noodles, I'm probably gonna like it.
Okay. Love it. Love it. Favorite music?
I enjoy a little like alternative rock. I don't really know if that's the right genre. My favorite band is the 1975, and so like that avenue
I don't
of
know
rock.
who they are. Oh man.
Ooh, they're great. You should look them up. I'm a big fan, and as well as there are many teenage girls that are also big fans. So me and them are aligned on liking the 1975.
All right, I'm gonna have to YouTube them. 1975. I like it. Favorite movie genre?
Rom-com. Love a rom-com.
Okay, love it, love it. Okay, favorite restaurant?
Of all time?
Could be that, or just one that you really, really like.
That's tough. I'll do. I've only been to this restaurant one time, but I'll give it as it was probably one of my best dining experiences. I went to Savannah, Georgia on a solo trip, and there's a restaurant there called The Gray, and it's built in an old Greyhound station. So it's got kind of this like 1920s Art Deco like decor. And then it's this really good like Southern food basically. And it was fantastic. I had a great time. There. So that's probably one of my favorite restaurants I've ever been to.
I'm gonna definitely remember that one. I've been to Savannah before, but I've never been to the Gray. So I definitely will remember that one. I appreciate that. Favorite color?
Black, I guess. I don't know. I like black. I like royal colors, royal blue, royal red, royal green. It's kind of like emerald, ruby, sapphire, like those kind of like rich, dark colors, or just black.
Gotcha. Favorite alcoholic drink?
Mango White Claw.
Wow. I don't think a White Claw? I don't think I've heard of that.
Oh my, yes, you have. They're those like canned seltzer drinks that are like everywhere. You just like, you drink them like beer. Oh my God, if you haven't heard of White Claws, that's actually that's crazy. But yeah, they're like, they hit the scene maybe 1 or 2 years ago, and like, they're kind of like your basic like white girl drink, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
But the mango White Claws are delicious, and I can have several of them in one sitting, and it's great. So.
Well, the difference between me and a white girl, I know it's hard to but I'm more of a Hennessy, vodka, Tito's, 1800, Jose Cuervo. I'll probably bore you with the list, but I'm really that kind of guy. That's what she.
No, that's good. I've got a fully stocked bar cart too. I can get fancy when I want, but nothing hits like a mango White Claw on a hot day.
You know what? So. I promise you, the next time that we talk, Meg, one mango White Claw. I promise I will have one. 2 more. Favorite place that you have traveled to?
That's tough. I love New York City, and I've been there a lot for various, like an internship. I lived just outside New York City for a summer, and then I've been there for work several times. That's probably my favorite city in the world because I've always wanted to live there. That was like one of the dreams back in the day, but I don't have enough money to live there. I don't know how anyone does. But it's so cool to be there because I feel like you can be so independent because there's just like subways to everywhere. There's everything you could ever want is in that city. Yeah. Like you want to find ramen at 2 a.m. You can. You want to get like a facial at midnight, go find it. Like there's like literally the possibilities are endless, and you can just do it all on your own. You don't have to like get a car. You don't have to go with a friend. It's like you just get on the subway, hop anywhere, and like you can have all these different experiences in one day. And I love that. And I love all the different cultures that are there too. You can have food from every place. A lot of my travel is food driven. Because I like to eat.
I'm starting to see that.
Yeah, so I like New York City. New Orleans is a personal fave too. I like the history of that city. I like the culture. I like the food. It's great.
Okay. All right. Favorite musical. Last
one. What is my favorite musical? I mean, I have several. Like, I was a Lin-Manuel Miranda fan before Hamilton. Like, I knew him during his In the Heights days. That was his first musical, which is actually now coming a movie that's going to be out this summer.
Yep, I heard of that.
In the Heights might be my favorite.
Okay.
Because I feel like that was one of the first musicals I heard that didn't sound like a musical, if you know what I mean. Like it had that like it had singing, but it also had the rap, and it was, you know, fun, and it was like a different kind of story. It wasn't like just song and dance everywhere. It was like real life. So probably In the Heights. And then obviously I did like Hamilton. I think everyone did, but probably In the Heights is my favorite.
Hamilton is definitely one of my favorites. So is Rent. So is Hairspray. So is The Greatest Showman, which recently came out. That's pretty good too.
True.
So, yes, definitely. Love all those. So you graduate from University of Minnesota. Time to move on. You go to the Dallas Morning News for, I believe it was a 5-month stint. You're there covering sports. Then you go to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Now, can you talk about those two stops and what exactly did you learn at those two stops that you didn't learn in the classroom?
Yeah. Well, the Dallas Morning News, it was like basically like an extended internship. Because I thought it might turn into a job, and then the day I got there, they're like, "We can't hire you at the end of this," and I was like, "Okay." But it was a great experience for what it was. And I mean, what I learned on that job was, you know, covering high school sports and like how intense that can be. I think a lot of people look at at least for sports journalism, you maybe look at it and see like, oh, I don't really want to cover that, or I want to just get to the next thing. I want to get to the pros or cover big college or whatever. Right. But there's a lot of value and importance in high school sports. And honestly, it's probably like one of the most genuinely read things that you will write is a story on high school sports, because it means a lot to these kids. Like, they're not doing it to get paid. They're just doing it for fun. And there's like this kind of like, you know, Friday Night Lights, if you've seen the show or the movie, like that idea of like impermanence, that you only have these 4 years and then you're never going to go back. You're never going to play high school football again. And there's a lot of people that will never play that sport again, like, because they're not going to go to college and the pros or whatever. So there's a real kind of like beauty and like purity to that, that I don't think I necessarily appreciated until I went to Texas, where obviously high school football is like a huge deal. So I got to see it in a new light of what it means to people and how important it can be to cover. In Pittsburgh, I guess sort of the same thing. Like, I covered high school sports there, but I think the difference was it was a big deal still, but it didn't have like the infrastructure that Dallas had. Like, we had at Dallas Morning News, like an army of freelancers that would come and like score, like keep stats for the game so that we could put all the stats on our website.
Oh, that helps.
And then when I went to Pittsburgh, it was like, drive to Timbuktu and you're the only person there and like figure it out. So like I had to, you know, like first of all, drive all over Western Pennsylvania, which is a place I'm not from and don't know. And it's very different than Minnesota. There's lots of hills and rivers and bridges and stuff.
Yes,
like
it
tunnels.
is.
So I had to learn how to like navigate that stuff. I had to, you know, go to these stadiums and like basically be by myself in the press box. Maybe there's like a radio guy or two. And then I was keeping my own stats, which was like, you know, I think I had never really done that before, honestly, before college, because in college you were getting stuff printed out for you basically. Yeah. And I had freelanced a couple of high school games, but like, I don't think I ever took like real stats. I think I only paid attention to like, you know, the big, you know, the important ones or whatever, but I didn't actually sit there and try to like, keep every play, which was maybe dumb at the time. Maybe I should have done that, but I didn't. So that was kind of a unique thing that I had to learn. And it really, I mean, if you want to learn about a sport, like the first thing you should do is just try to keep a scorebook or keep that going for yourself, because you will learn really quickly, like what to look for and what's important, because you are paying super close attention. Same thing with baseball now. Like, I score every game myself, even though there are obviously stats out there and play-by-play, but it helps me like remember and then be able to see like the runs, like, oh, they went 3 innings without scoring or without making a hit. You can like kind of see that all visually. That was kind of a tangent, but sure, that's what I learned.
That's okay. That's okay. On podcasts, we go on tangents, so this is totally cool. I love it. I totally agree with the high school sport. I would have loved that Dallas infrastructure with the people carrying the stats, because when I cover sports out here as a freelancer, a sports consultant, I got to take my own stats. And that was because covering high school football, they get up quick and spike that ball. So if you miss a play, you like, what happened? Where'd they go? You know what I mean? If it's not a touchdown, you like, oh man, how many yards did they get? So you got to pay attention to the polls. You got to pay attention to every single play and be on top of it. Especially with high school football. But I also agree with what you said about taking your own stats. When I covered baseball and when I covered basketball, I would bring a pad with me. I would write down the players' names. I would take the stats, rebounds, assists, and all that. That's what I would do covering the games because it gives me a sense of, okay, I know what's going on to the game and I'm involved into the game. So that way I don't kind of drift away, especially in prep sports because it's very easy to do that. It's very easy to get lost and then lose a stat for sure.
Yep.
What are the challenges of being in journalism from work-life balance to also being a minority? And when I say being a minority, not just because you're Asian and not because I'm Black, but also women in general. There's not a lot of women in sports and there's not a lot of people of color in sports. And to me, that's a damn shame because it should be a lot more. We should be getting more implemented. And yes, they are trying to change it slowly, but still, it's just not enough. So if you can talk to the challenges of that and having the thick skin, developing the thick skin to be in this business to thrive successfully.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I don't want to paint it as like the hardest career ever because it certainly isn't. I think a lot of times sports journalists have like an ego complex and we just like want to make our job sound like really important and cool, but they're really not that important and cool. So I don't want to say it's like the hardest thing, but it is something that you have to be ready for what you're getting into and you have to like really want whatever your goal is, because otherwise it's, there's a lot of reasons to drop out, right? So the first one would be like the work-life balance. Like you said, it's a lot. I mean, my experience is that it evens out in the end. Like there will be some, when you're in the off season or whatever, like there are some days where you just like won't do anything because there's just nothing going on. And you're not helping out on something else or whatever. So there's times where you're just kind of sitting there like, okay, well, I guess I'll just be on my computer and like wait for something to happen. But if nothing happens, I'm just going to go home. Right. So there's days like that. But then there are days that it's like insane. Like you're in season, you've already got, a game and everything that comes with that. Then you've got breaking news that happens before that. And then you've got breaking news that happens after the game. And it feels like you've just been working for like, days at a time. So that can be tough. And it's tough to not really have your schedule be set. You don't have like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and then you've got your weekends free. It's very chaotic. Right. Sometimes you might have a weekend free, but most of the time you probably don't. And a lot of time your nights are taken up. And then you add in the travel factor, like especially with, sports like baseball or, even, hockey, NBA, whatever, like there's 82 to 162 games. And you're traveling for 50% of those. So it's a lot to be, packing up and going to one city to the next, and you're not always coming home right after. Sometimes you've got 2 city, 3 city road trips at a time. So that can be significant. But there's fun in that and there's challenges in that too. If you're somebody who thrives off adrenaline, and that kind of thrill of like the deadline or the thrill of like breaking news, then you'll probably like it. But if you're someone that like stresses you out to not know your set routine, you're probably not going to like it. So that's the first part. And then as far as being like a person of color and specifically a woman of color in the business, it's tough. I don't really know if there's really any other way to say it. It's not easy. And there will be like little things that you face every day that will piss you off, but you just kind of have to like get through it. I'm hopeful that it's going to get better. And I would hope that with everything we've been through in the past year and a half, that we would all kind of collectively, come together and have things be less horrible. And I think that's coming, but I don't think it's going to change overnight. Like it already hasn't. It's been like a year since George Floyd. And things have changed a little, but I wouldn't say massively. So it's going to be a long process, but I mean, I think the hardest part is the part that's hard about being a woman and being a person of color is that this industry is dominated by old white men. And so if you are not an old white man, you are always going to be surrounded by people that don't look like you or don't, experience life like you. And that makes communication very hard. Because I don't know, like little things, like I feel like when it comes to stories about race, and like the importance of that, or like, I think like, let me give an example, I guess. A couple months ago, I wrote a story about the University of Minnesota and how they were the only Big Ten school that didn't have a single coach of color for any of their teams. And I wrote that story, but it was tough. Like I was the only one who was doing it. I didn't have a ton of help. And it wasn't really something that I necessarily like really wanted to do, but it kind of fell onto my shoulders, which if you're a person of color or you're a woman in the business, you often are going to get tasked with those kinds of stories.
Right.
And which is not fair because, my white colleagues or my male colleagues should care about those things too. But it kind of is like, yeah, but for some reason it always kind of falls on your shoulder, and you also feel a responsibility to do it well because, sometimes they wouldn't do it the right way.
Right.
So that's tough. It's tough to like always have that responsibility. It's tough. I think what I've been grappling with the most right now is the pressure. And I tried to explain this to my editors and my colleagues when I was going through the process of getting this twins job.
Yeah.
Like I'm new on the beat this year. I just joined. I used to cover Gophers football.
Right.
But when I went through that whole process, I mean, the questions that I was getting asked were not, I mean, they were a little sexist. Like I can just say it. Like a lot of the questions I was getting asked were like, you don't really like baseball. You didn't like grow up to be a big baseball fan. You don't like really know a lot about baseball. So like, how could you succeed at this job when like you don't like it and you don't know anything about it?
Wow.
Or it's like, we're concerned that would you be happy on this? Because like, it's a grind and, it just takes a lot of stamina. And we're worried that you won't be happy. And it was just like, okay, would you ever ask a dude if he was going to be happy on the job? Like, I don't know why does that matter? And my happiness, like, I'm going to go on a rant right now, but my happiness is not the concern really of my company. Like that's the concern of me. I have to figure out what makes me happy and make those decisions for myself. It's not up for my like older white male bosses to be like, well, we don't think you'd be happy on this. It's like, I'm putting myself up for the job. So clearly I have decided that that's what I want to do. You need to trust that instead of trying to like father me.
Right.
So like there's that. And then like, the stuff about not knowing a lot about baseball. And I actually said this to them in the interview. I was just like, listen, like I am a woman of color, but specifically, I guess in this instance, more about being a woman.
Yeah.
When you're a woman, you are not indoctrinated into sports at an early age. You don't go like throw the ball and play catch with your dad at 6 years old. And you don't sit down and watch, a ton of games. It's like, we are put into a different set of values right from the get-go. And like, that's not anybody, one person's fault. It's just like, that's how our society is. So yeah, and it's not like that for every girl. Some girls do have that experience, but for me, I didn't. So I had to come to sports later and I had to learn about it later. And I'm sorry that I didn't start at age 5 and I then started at age 18, but like, I think I'm doing okay. Like, like I can even learn about it. It's not like you have to know all the history of baseball to be able to cover it.
I think you're doing damn good.
Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of a tangent, but those are the kind of like miscommunication issues I was talking about that are tough. Yeah. And then, I did get the job, which was great, but now I feel this incredible pressure to succeed because when you are a woman or a person of color and you get one of those prominent jobs of which there's not a lot of us in this business to begin with, but let alone covering Major League Baseball, covering the NFL, covering NBA. So when you get one of those jobs, you want to succeed. And it's not just for your personal success or your, job security. It's because you don't want to put a bad name on everybody else that's like you. Right. And I've heard, people have said like, oh, it's not your responsibility. Like, you don't have to worry about that. And it's true. It's not my responsibility and I shouldn't have to worry about it, but I do because that's optically, that's what people are going to do. They're going to say, oh, she got that job because she's a woman or she's a person of color or she's young. And so they're just trying to like be in the moment. they'll say that that's the reason why I got that job. And then if I fail, that will be the reason why I failed. So I need to make it, if they think that's the reason that I got that job, I can't change that. But then I need to succeed to prove that even if I got it for that reason, it was still a right choice. If that makes sense.
No.
So it's a lot to live with on a daily basis.
It's a lot. It is. But that's a great answer to that question, because people need to know coming into the industry, including myself, coming into an industry like this, it's difficult because you have many people's perspectives on you. And you also have many people's thoughts about whether or not you can do the job. Like you said, they're going to throw every excuse in the book to you to say, well, you know, maybe you can't handle this because of such and such. And they won't blatantly say it, but it's some kind of, you got to read in between the lines of what they're saying. And it does make you think. Would they say it to somebody else of a different gender, of a different race, and something like that? In the back of your mind, you think that, you know. There's no reason that you can't tell me that Megan Ryan is not talented enough to cover the Minnesota Twins. After working the United, after working the Gophers, after working the Dallas Morning News Stars in Pittsburgh, your work has shown that you obviously know what you're doing. But once again, as you said, there's people that's going to advocate all kinds of reasons to be like, well, to have some hesitancy, right, for you to jump onto the beat. And now you jump on the beat, and now you're killing it, and you're right. It's almost that burden of oppression, like, I gotta succeed, not just for me, not just for the naysayers, but for the people that's next up, right? Mm-hmm. Next up that want to come up. I gotta show them that no matter what is the fastball, curveball is being thrown at me, you know, kind of like adversity, that I'll overcome it, and I'll be able to do a successful job, and you too can do the same successful job as me, as a woman in this industry, a person of color in this industry. You can do it too. But don't let anybody don't let anybody tell you you can't, and stand in your way. Fight for what you want, and you did that. And that's what people need to see and realize when they look at this podcast and this interview from you, is that you're talented at what you do, not because people think, well, you're a woman and you can't handle it, you ain't got stamina and all this, that, and third. That's just a bunch of bullshit. Your talent speaks for yourself. So I say that to digress. And we go to this or that. Now I'm just going to throw a couple things out, and you say which one you want, okay? Drive-ins or theaters?
Theaters.
Theaters, okay, gotcha. Are you sure? You don't look too sure about that now.
No, I think so. I've only been to like 1 or 2 drive-ins, but I feel like I just miss a movie theater. I haven't been to a movie theater in so long, so.
Yeah, you and me both. Okay. Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Christmas.
Gotcha. Popeyes or KFC?
I've actually never been to Popeyes, but I haven't eaten KFC in 1,000 years because I once read that they tortured chickens, and so I stopped eating them out of, I don't know, that was 7th grade, and I never looked back. So I'm going to go to Popeyes by default. I know I've been trying to get over there. I really do want to try it. It just hasn't happened yet, but it will eventually.
Listen, we better not talk again until you put a 2-piece and a biscuit in your mouth from Popeyes.
Okay,
that's crazy.
That's it, Bill.
Okay, Popeyes will change your life after you eat it. Okay, for sure. MJ or LeBron?
LeBron. I say that with a lot of hesitancy. I mean, MJ, are we talking strictly basketball or like overall?
Yes.
If strictly basketball, then I would say it's MJ. But if we're talking like overall impact as an athlete and a human being, LeBron. Then it's LeBron.
Yeah, he's done more, no doubt, in this new age. Okay, got you. Montana or Brady?
Brady. I say that with disdain. I don't love him, but sure. He is good. You can't argue.
I understand. Okay. Bowling or softball?
Bowling.
Gotcha. Lady Gaga or Christina Aguilera?
Gaga.
Lady Gaga or Whitney Houston?
That's also tough, but I think I have to do. I mean, are we doing like just singing ability, or are we doing like artistically and like everything?
Everything.
Because I think just singing ability, there's never going to be a voice like Whitney.
Okay.
But I think artistically, I respect what Gaga does, because she can do a lot musically, and like, you know, not just pop stuff, but she can do like, you know, she did like The Star Is Born and all that. So I respect that part of Lady Gaga, but the voice of Whitney is the best.
Okay. All right. I'll let you go off that one. WNBA or women's college basketball?
Tough. Probably WNBA. But both are fun, especially this last
But
year.
you got to pick one, Megan.
Exciting, I know. Probably WNBA.
WNBA? All right, Here's the last one. Last one here, okay? Dallas or Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh. Close, though. I did like both of them, but probably Pittsburgh.
So is it like a 51-49 Pittsburgh, Dallas? Is that how it is?
Yeah, probably.
Probably?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people don't like Dallas, but I didn't mind it. I enjoyed all the crazy highways and open spaces. So
that's right. And you met another good friend of mine named Tommy Magelson, who's a very, very good friend of mine. We talk to this day. I send him a lot of my stuff too.
Oh, good.
Sure. Now let's talk some Twins baseball. Okay. Obviously the Twins are 20-29, fourth in the AL Central. This is a team that has been home run crazy the past couple of years, have led the American League, not the entire league, in home runs, but they are facing an uphill battle, you know, in that division. Obviously, they got a big-time series coming up against Kansas City at home, 3 straight games, and Kansas City's team in third place. So they're dealing with some injuries, the Kenta and the Buxton as well. Both of them are injured. And Nelson Cruz leads them in batting average, home runs, RBIs, leads them a lot of offensive categories. He's a DH. He don't even play in the field. So talk to me. Talk to me about what's going on with the Twins and how can they right this ship?
Yeah, I don't know. They're bad this year. Sometimes that happens in sports, right? You think the team's going to be good and they're actually terrible, and you don't really know why or how. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's kind of it. I mean, they might be on the brink of turning it around. I think that's maybe a little bit too soon to say, but like they have won, I think, their past 4 games. And I think actually like 6 of their last 7, I think. So they are on a random upward swing, but I am a little hesitant to call that like a turning point, only because the last 3 wins they had were against the Baltimore Orioles, and they are terrible. It was like the 2 worst teams of baseball meeting. The Twins are better than the Orioles, but it's really not saying much because they are also pretty bad. So I'm a little hesitant to call it a turning point, but this is a point in the schedule that they could turn things around, right? Because they've got Baltimore, they've got KC, who's not great either. They've got a lot of talent, and you know they've beaten the Twins before, but they're kind of they're seen as a team that's younger and they're like on their way up, but they're not quite there yet. So KC is a team you could take advantage of. Then they play Baltimore again at Baltimore, and then they play KC again at KC. So you've got like you're going to have a very strong like familiarity with these teams at the end of this stretch. And you're going to have several games against them. So hopefully, you know, this is something that you can turn it around a little bit. And then you have to rely though at this point to have other teams mess up, because they're like, you know, several games back, like I think like 10 or so games back at this point. So yeah, they've got a lot to work on, but as far as the season, like what's going on, I mean, they just struggled with 2 real main things to me, which is their bullpen pitching and their clutch hitting. Because there will be several times in a game where, like, you know, early innings, like, you know, they're doing okay. The scores, they're not letting the score run up too high, but they're also, you know, making a couple of hits themselves. And maybe they have like a 4-2 lead or something heading into like the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th innings. And then they just collapse. And it's because the bullpen will just blow up and let in a bunch of runs, and then they lose their ability to hit in the later innings, which is kind of funny. But it's true, like they can load the bases 10 times and just not get anyone in. and I don't really know why. It seems like just the psychology of it maybe is what's getting to them.
Yeah.
So that's been like their main issues this whole year. And they've, recently gotten a little better. The bullpen's looked a little bit sharper, and the clutch innings been better too. So maybe they've made a turnaround, but those are probably the biggest things. And then the things that are out of their control are the injuries. They just have a lot.
They do.
I think there's only been like a handful of guys that haven't been injured or missed games for a certain part of like the season already.
Right.
So they're lacking a lot. Buxton obviously is the biggest one. He's, was the MVP of April for the American League. He was hitting great, and he also was making incredible defensive plays at center field.
Right.
And then you take him out of the equation, and they really tanked with him not there. So he's going to be out for a little bit longer. And, I think just recently they've maybe kind of started to put together how they can win without him. A lot of that I give to the call-ups from their minor league team of like people weren't really expecting a lot from them, but guys like, Alex Kirilloff, Trevor Larnach, Rob Refsnyder, they have really done a lot to fill in for those, that huge gap that Byron leaves and other, of those injured guys leave. So yeah, it's tough. It's not a great season, but there is still time. People like to think it's over. It's not necessarily over. Is it going to be tougher? For sure. But they could still pull something off and make the postseason. So we'll see.
I mean, it's still 113 games left in the season. So yes, we are past the quarter mark, but we still got a whole lot of time. You are right about that. If I'm not mistaken, the AAA affiliate of Minnesota is the Rochester.
Not this year. They were last year, but now actually their AAA is now the St. Paul Saints, just like a couple miles over to the east. Okay. So yeah, it's actually a lot better because they don't have to. I think Rochester is about a 2-hour drive from the cities, or you're taking like a little charter plane up. But yeah, they just have to drive like 15 minutes basically in their affiliate if they need to.
Okay, I like it. The St. Paul Press, I like that. I do think that this team, can turn it around. Buxton going down. If I read correctly, he was having problems decelerating. His hip is still an issue. Losing him was tough. It just seemed like a power outage with that team. The team was knocking the ball out of the ballpark and not really doing as much damage as they did. But like I said, it's still early. Josh Donaldson, I look for him to come up and be bigger than what he was last year. Sano as well. I look for him to improve. Do you think that any one of these players are going to make the All-Star team next month in Colorado?
Maybe. If Byron Buxton were still playing, I would say yeah.
Okay.
But now it's probably going to be a little tough unless he comes. If he comes back and is in same form, and hypothetically he could come back maybe next week. But that's hypothetical. So if he could come back and like have the same output that he was having at the beginning of the year, then I would say for sure him.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't think anyone has been consistently really good other than him. Like Sano was not good early in the year, and he's recently learned how to hit again. But I don't think that's going to get you into an all-star game. Polanco's been good, but just kind of under the radar. And then he also got injured, so he was out for a bit.
He did.
Yeah. I don't know. Probably Buxton. He would be the best chance.
Okay. I like that. Well, listen, we're going to do some trivia now. How good is your trivia when it comes to Minnesota sports?
Probably bad. I'm really bad at like remembering numbers. Really bad. But I'll try my best.
Okay, listen. We're gonna throw some curveballs at you. We do got some hard questions, but we're gonna throw some curveballs, okay?
Okay.
So the first question, this is something that I think you should know. The Twins have won 2 World Series in their history. Name the teams that they beat.
That they beat in the World Series. I think it was.
Don't be cheating now.
I'm not. It's Atlanta.
That's one.
That was in 91, was Atlanta.
Yes, it was. The epic Game 7 with Jack Morris.
Oh my God. I wasn't born when these happened. 87 was, oh my God, it was since it's Cardinals?
Correct. It was the St. Louis Cardinals. Yes, it was.
Wow. Okay.
St. Louis and Atlanta, both in 7-game series in 87 and 91. So, okay, we starting off good.
A little shaky, but okay.
How many Minnesota Vikings Super Bowl appearances do they have as a franchise?
I think Super Bowl appearances. Yeah. Well, obviously they've never won. I know that.
Yep.
I think they've only been once. No, there's been more than one. 3?
Wrong.
Damn.
But you were close. It's actually 4. 4 appearances that they have.
I know it was all in like the 70s, but I can never remember. It was like they were in all of them and then they just didn't win any of them.
It was 1970. It was 74-75 when they played against Pittsburgh in both of those years. And it was also 77 when they played in the Super Bowl as well. So against the Raiders. So yes. All right. Let's go to the next one. We 1 for 2. We good. Now, the Timberwolves, Kevin Garnett, played 13 years there in the franchise. How many different MVPs did he win? Keyword, different MVPs.
Oh my God. Different MVPs. So like defensive and offensive, is that what we're like?
Defense, there's offense, there's all-star game, there's all that.
Oh my God, I have no idea. 15? Is 15 too low?
Well,
I have no idea. It seems like you would win a lot.
Give a good guess. 15 is a little bit too high. Way too high. 7. That's better. Okay. But no, that would be incorrect. 3. He won NBA MVP. He won Defensive Player, and he also won All-Star MVP as well. One of each.
Wow, I would have thought it would be more than just 3, but who am I to judge?
All right. Question 4. 1 for 3, Megan. Let's get back to 50%. How many times did Randy Moss lead the league in receiving yards?
Randy Moss lead the league in receiving yards. Twice? I don't know. That's what it's going to be.
No, that's a good guess. But no, it wasn't 2. It was 0. He never led the league in receiving yards.
Oh, wow. Why do we idolize him so much?
He did break the single season record for touchdowns, but he never led the league in receiving yards.
Wow, short catches only. Okay.
All right. This is the last one of trivia. Let's get back to 40%. Right now we 1 for 4. Okay. What year did the Minnesota Timberwolves begin playing in the NBA?
Ooh.
Do you want a hint?
Well, sure, if you want. I know the Lakers left, and then the Timberwolves had to start. So that's my timeline. But what's the hint?
Here's the hint. The Pistons won the championship the same year that they started.
Pistons won the championship the same year they started. Oh my God. 80? I don't know.
You're in the right decade, but no, it wasn't 1980. No.
So sometime in the 80s. I don't remember when.
Yes. It was in the 80s, though. I'll give you one more guess. Pick a year.
Pick a year?
It was in the 80s. You're right, but it wasn't 1980. Remember, the Pistons won the championship the same year that they started playing in the NBA.
1989.
Correct.
Wow. I just did that because it's a Taylor Swift album. I didn't know.
I figured you said something like that. I really did. Yes, the Pistons swept the Lakers the same year to win the championship, their first one, and the Timberwolves as expansion started that year. But yeah.
Great. I hate sports trivia, but thanks for putting me through that.
Well, at least you got the Twins one right. At least you got Twins
sports fans, like, it's a big point of pride, but like for me, it's just outrageous. If I need to know those things, I'll look it up. I don't need to store it in my brain for no apparent reason. There are so many other things I need to have in there than like all of these, like, when did Randy Moss lead the lead in receiving? I don't care. He doesn't even play anymore.
I know. I had to do the Minnesota trivia for the Minnesota native coming on to the podcast. At least you got the Twins one right now. You didn't get the Twins.
That is true. I know something about the team I cover, so there.
Right. I'll be like, what the hell? But at the same time, you got it right, so it's all good. My last one is pretty much, what advice would you like to give any up and coming person that wants to be in this industry that you haven't already seen?
What advice? I mean, probably, I don't know, it's not really like very specific advice, but I would say find your voice and don't be afraid to use it. This industry is like, there's a lot of people that look at the same and sound the same and act the same. And so you need to find what makes you unique and run with it. And a lot of that we say in journalism, it's like your voice. Like when you're writing, your writing should sound like you. It should sound like you wrote it. And it takes time to develop. It doesn't just like really happen overnight. Right. But you should try to find out, like, just find your niche, like what makes you, what makes you special, and what makes you like specifically well equipped to do this job. So like for me, I think it's like my compassion and empathy, my humor, and my outside the box thinking. If I had to like put it down to three things. And so I try to like ride that wave when I'm thinking about stories or writing stories or doing any kind of work. So I would say, like, yeah, just kind of think about what you think you do well or what you want to do well. And then just try to make sure you own that for your whole career and don't get sucked into the, basic structure of how to write a game story or, like doing all the same stuff everybody else does. Try to be different. I
love it. Find your voice and then run with it. I mean, it can't get no better than that. And like you said, it does take time. I'm living proof of that. Definitely trying to find my style and voice as well, as far as writing recaps and different things of that nature. That's all the stories I'm seeming to get right now, but that's okay. Thank you, Megan, for being on my podcast. I really do appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I always smile when I'm talking to you. It's pretty cool.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
No doubt. And please enjoy your day off before you get ready to go into the madness again of a long schedule, covering those Twins battling against those Warriors. I always conclude by saying this. Is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
No. Didn't I teach you that trick though? I feel like that's like one of my things. Always, is there anything else you want to say or add?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. It's been fun though. I like the this or that or those kinds of things. Makes you think. Challenges me.
Yeah, I definitely loved you coming on, loved you participating. You was a super trooper. No pun intended for the movie. But yeah, absolutely. I definitely love it. And we will be in touch. You take care. Awesome. And enjoy the rest of your Thursday.
Thanks, Chris.
No problem, Megan. Bye.
Bye.